So welcome everybody to yet another episode of the It Starts With You podcast in the series all around relationships. And today's guest, I'm so excited that she said yes to coming on the podcast. This is someone that I have long looked up to. I don't know if she knows that, and admired in the coaching world, what she's done, what she's doing, how she coaches, how she speaks. I've been on a few of your webinars and things like that, and I've always just been really in awe of how you come across and how you deliver your content and just how you show up in the coaching world. So I was really super happy when you agreed to come on. So Ruth Kudzi, welcome.
Thank you. I'm like, oh my God, someone looks up to me. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I do. Absolutely. So rather than me introduce you to the audience and probably make a really crap job of it, just briefly give us an outline of who you are, what you do, and share a little bit about Ruth Kudzi.
Oh my gosh, I always find this so difficult. So anyone also finds it difficult. Yeah, you're in good company. So I run two businesses. So I have got a coaching business, which has been going for about 7 years. And that business, I probably work 1 day a week on that. I've got mastermind. I love masterminds.
Yeah.
I run retreats and I work with people one-to-one. Business owners mainly. I do some kind of corporate work as well, corporate workshops and stuff. But I love working with business owners. And then I run a training school. So we coach people. We train people to become accredited coaches. That's been going for 3 years, and that's called Optimus Coach Academy. And that takes like the majority of my time. So I train and teach in there and mentor a bit, and then I coach in my other business and mentor. And then I'm also just finishing sign off on my second book. I'm just going to be starting a podcast next year, which I'm going to have you on as well, Sam.
Yeah,
And that's called How to Feel Better. So it's quite a similar theme.
Yeah.
We're kind of talking about this because I think, I love It Starts With You as well, because it really does. So my background before that was educational leadership. I used to be deputy head teacher. And before that, I worked in sales and marketing. But I was definitely one of those people. So recruitment and sales, don't know why I said marketing. I was definitely one of those people that I've been working since I was 13. And I've definitely had that, like, you have to work hard. You have to work hard, like, for so long. So actually, this is really relevant because there's loads that I can talk about. But I do believe that you have to, like, working hard doesn't need to be working long, because I think that we confuse actually like putting effort in and sometimes things being hard with actually working 12, 14 hours. I haven't done that in my business, but I do sometimes get into cycles of working too much. So
been there.
It's never fun.
No, it isn't. I think we were just talking just before we hit record, weren't we? And when I said that I was at my unhappiest, I had probably had more money than I'd ever had, but I was also working so damn hard, and I think that contributed to my unhappiness. And just not finding the things that lit me up really. And it was the motivation. I was just like, why am I doing this? But maybe we'll come on to some of that. But this podcast series is really just all about relationships. One thing, and you probably know this from your coaching and training as well, is that I noticed a pattern of a theme after I've been coaching probably about 7 years. And then in the last couple of years, I've just noticed that it doesn't matter what clients I have come to me. Like I like sports. I'm massively into sports, and I've worked with professional footballers and athletes, but I also work with generally female entrepreneurs, or solopreneurs as people call them, or self-employed women. So those are my two kind of clients. But it didn't make any difference. What I noticed was that we always ended up talking about relationships. Like it always came down to the relationship you had with your boss, with your partner, your kids, your mother-in-law, yourself. And I just started to talk more and more about relationships. That's what sort of led me to have this series and these conversations. And I wanted to just get different coaches and different people on who deal with relationships, to just come and have different takes on it and what that meant and what it means. And also for me, It Starts With You is always about that relationship you have with yourself. It's about accountability and responsibility and taking those on yourself, so that you understand that you are actually more in control of your life, and what comes into it. So that's kind of what it's about. And I guess, so for you, because I know you on a personal level, your relationship with yourself, like I think you were just saying before, was like has changed, and how you work and how you show up. Is that something that, I guess it's evolved over time through, you know, changes in your life, your marriage, probably your kids, your business. Where does that all sit with you in your relationship with yourself? How's that evolved? And I'm assuming it's in pretty good shape.
I think it really is now. I think so. When I was younger, like I suffered from really bad I had like a accident when I was 18. I had really bad PTSD. So but even before that, my relationship with myself, I wouldn't say was great. I was definitely, I used to think I wasn't good enough. I used to, yeah, I went to a school and I wasn't the smartest or I was never the best at anything. Do you know what I mean? I was just quite like, I wasn't the smartest, the prettiest, the best at any, like I was kind of like in the, I'd say between like 50 to 30%.
Yeah.
So I was pretty, which was good, but I was comparing myself the whole time. So my 20s were definitely a time when I really didn't have a great relationship with myself. And I turned that round. Actually, personal development really helped me, because I was like, I started going to mindfulness and practicing mindfulness and meditation, and then doing reading various books. And like my first mentors were probably books. And then started to really, I'd studied psychology before, but started to really kind of practice some of the stuff that I knew. And I'd say that, coming into my business, I'd done quite a lot of work on myself already, but I think business has absolutely transformed my relationship with myself. Because I used to be one of those people, and I wouldn't say that I've let go of this, but I was such a people pleaser. And I think it was a trauma response that I would literally do anything I can not to have conflict. Although, so I'd always be like, I wouldn't want to say to people, oh, you've overstepped the mark or you've done something. But obviously when you do that, you're holding that resentment. And it's never a great dynamic. So there was so much I needed to do on that. And I would say that actually I probably am the best that I've ever been in terms of my people pleasing in relationships. And that has come from sometimes going through some pretty hard stuff as well, because that's the stuff that actually, like my gran would say, that's the grit that makes the pearl. The hard stuff, like the stuff that's really uncomfortable, the stuff that, the stuff where you have to face yourself and go, I really mucked up that, and take responsibility.
Absolutely. I love that. I think that for me was a big light bulb moment in my life. And it is the grit, right? It is the storm. Like we know all this stuff, and it really turns us into diamonds and pearls. And it's facing that. But I had a really difficult time, like we all do. We all have challenges, and at one point in my life, and it was so traumatic for me. Like I was suffering so much, and I really, really struggled to kind of dig my way out of it. But what helped me I went and got some therapy. And I realized that I just had to take responsibility, like for some of what had gone on, rather than projecting it out into the world and other people. And the minute I started to do that, which really helped, which really is a lot of where It Starts With You has come from, and the brand and the podcast and everything, that massively just changed everything for me, just taking that responsibility, because I felt really out of control with my pain and my trauma. And just flipping that switch, it's still not easy. You can't just flip a switch and it's, hey, all good. But it was the catalyst really to starting to improve that relationship with myself, and actually feeling comfortable taking that responsibility. And then that started to improve everything that was, around me in my world. So it was a big shift. I think a lot of life is, like you say about people pleasing, comes from trauma, right? I totally agree with that. I see that in my world, me, my kids, what's gone on in their life and how they people please, but we often try and hold ourselves to a standard that comes from other people.
Yes. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
And it's, why are we doing that? This is a question that's, comes up for me and clients. It's like, we don't realize we're doing it sometimes either, do we? I don't know if that, for you, like if that's happened in your personal life. It's like, and a bit like if I think about like the money thing, like when I was driven by money so much, it was like, I got to a point, it's like, why am I doing this? Is this because I really wanted my dad to really be proud of me and stuff like that. And I thought that was the way to do it. Like, oh, have a good business, have money. And so I was holding myself to a standard that I thought my dad had. In an actual fact, he didn't have that standard. So I was just living falsehood. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And actually, I find that so the people pleasing can look like no boundaries, and the amount of times, and this changed for me this year, at the beginning of the year, because I always used to be, I can't let other people down. And so, I remember a few years ago going to meet somebody like for a drink, and I was so ill, but I was like, oh, I can't let them down. I promised them. And at the beginning of this year, my friends were having this party. I love parties. And I was like, actually, I'm not going to come. And the reason I'm not going to come is we've got loads of stuff going on in our house, and I don't have the mental capacity right now. And what was so interesting is after I said that, so many things, that I had my birthday and two of my close friends said, Ruth, I'm really not feeling great at the moment. Yeah. I need to stay at home and look after myself. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have just modeled to my friends that it's okay to say, I don't feel great right now. I still love you. I'm going to miss it. And I think it's transformed some of our relationships, because people are actually saying, I don't feel great. I'm okay, but I need to be on my own right now. And in society, we're so unused to doing that, saying it. And I think because people are often, oh, so-and-so's flaky. And I know, oh, okay, so-and-so's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Let's just check in on them. Maybe I'll pop round to theirs and have a coffee, or maybe I'll send them some flowers, or send them a book, or just leave them a voice note, and it makes such a difference. So I think that has been one of the biggest revelations for me of the last year.
Yeah.
Really. And that was in January this year, sorry, really just actually being like, it's okay to sometimes say no and be really clear on your boundaries.
Yeah, that in the coaching world, boundaries comes up a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
But being coaches ourselves, it's often quite hard for us. We still need our coaches, right? But yeah. I love that how the bit that you said around, I think it's probably the golden bit of this podcast. We could probably stop right here, because I think this is just so gold. Like, it's so much gold in what you just said about you being true and honest to yourself, and showing up authentically and honestly, and saying, hey, I'm not up for this. Modeling to your friends. So, treating yourself in a good way, in a kind way, and giving yourself what you needed. Then you're showing your friends like, hey, I'm taking care of me first here. This right now, don't have the bandwidth for this. And modeling that to your friends, so that they then give them permission to act in the same way. And so that's a beautiful ripple effect, if you think about it, like, because you nurturing and caring for yourself and your soul and your spirit, or whatever you needed at that time, then allowed your friends to do the same fucking thing. It's like, that's so beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. And I think this is the whole thing about relationships with yourself, that when you model it, even with clients as well, people see that.
Yeah.
And I think I used to get really hat up on, because people used to say, oh, you shouldn't reply to messages at night. You shouldn't be on social media, like blah, blah, blah. You need to have boundaries. And I'm like, but you don't understand my working day, because like when I'm on social media, my work fits around my life. Yeah. So actually sometimes in the evening, it's when I catch up, because I have a bit of quiet. And that it was and letting go of what other people thought to do what worked for me. And I think that's that is one of the biggest things that I've learned about myself, that I need to stop listening to what everybody else is saying, because you can get so sucked in, can't you? Yeah. I call it Me Too goals, into, oh, I need this, or I need that, or I need this, or I need that. And then you're creating a life and a business that doesn't even light you up. Yeah. It just makes you feel a bit like, and there's no point of doing that.
No, it's that whole internal flame thing, isn't it? And
Yeah.
obviously, like, I do a lot of work around self, and um I do talk a lot about, I know it sounds a bit cliche, some of it, about that internal flame stuff, but
Mm,
it's only in the knowing ourselves and having that good relationship with ourselves that, and nurturing ourselves, that we can find those things that light us up. And that's how we improve ourselves, right? That's how we bring our best self to the world, to our friends, to our kids, to our partner, or to
mm,
our business. And it's a lot of the work. This is what I always find, is that a lot of that work of self is the work that is the last thing that people want to do.
mm. Yeah.
It's the
Yeah,
last thing that they
it is.
want to do, because I
Mm.
guess it's too painful, it's too risky, it's too difficult. I don't know, but it's the last thing that they seem to want to do. I, I don't know if you found that with yourself, because obviously you said it's only sort of the last couple of years with your business, and obviously
Mm.
certainly putting in some
Yeah.
modeling some behavior to your friends and things like that. But I don't know, why is that? Why is it we just, is it because of what I think it is? It's because is that taking responsibility is too difficult?
Well, I think that maybe like our ego is wanting to protect us, isn't it? So it's much easier to say, okay, I haven't been successful at this because of so and so,
Yeah,
because of the economy, or because of X and because of Y. And I'm not discounting that, sometimes things do make it more difficult for us. But when you take responsibility, you have to actually take ownership of your behavior.
yeah,
And I find it so fascinating because, sometimes we see online, don't we? Like, people are like, oh, so-and-so's awful and it's their fault that and I'm like, wow, it's not anybody's fault that you are where you are except for yours.
yeah,
Now, of course, I'm discounting like really bad things that can happen when you're a child, everything like that. I'm not saying that's your fault, but as an adult, we have to take responsibility. And it's really hard. Like, I've been in narcissistic relationships. Was it my fault they were a narcissist? No. Did I choose to be in that relationship? Well, yes, I did.
yeah,
And so, even though, like, it wasn't like I didn't deserve to have that relationship, I still made a choice. And there was
yeah,
something in that I had to work through and take responsibility for. So I think this is the interesting part. Things happen to us, but actually we have to go, well, what part did I play in this? Because
yeah,
often we did. And often that's about, learning, and also realizing that all of us are fallible and we all make mistakes and we all make decisions that turn out not to be great decisions. And that's okay as well. But I think that sometimes we can get into this, well, it's victim, isn't it? In transactional analysis, we can step into that victim mode and everyone becomes persecutors and we're just waiting to be rescued. And
yeah.
I realized a long time ago, the only person who can rescue you is yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Oh yeah, I love that. Have you ever read the book Loving What Is by Byron Katie?
No, I've never read any of her stuff and I've got no idea why. So I'm just writing that down. Uh,
Because she's just, I love that book so much. I'm always talking about that book, and it kind of made, when you were talking, it just made me think of that book again, because she always says in the book, and in her coaching and how she works with people, is that true? That's one of
mm,
her classic lines that she says. Is that true? Like, when you're blaming your boss, your partner, you're in this narcissistic relationship, and you're saying, well, they always did this, or they always, it's like,
mm.
she just always says, is that true? And then she takes you down a little avenue, and you have to think about, and of course it probably isn't true. They don't always, I don't know, leave the pants on the floor or whatever it is. They don't always,
Mm.
berate you. It's not always, but we we generalize a lot, don't we? But that sentence always sticks in my head when I get a little bit stuck in my thinking. And I
Yeah, it's a great sentence, isn't it? Because it's like, honestly, like, our ego would like to be like, okay, that person's bad
yeah,
and I'm good.
yeah,
And like, and so therefore, like, I'm okay. Like, I'm good, they're bad. And life isn't like that. Like, life isn't, it's shades of gray. And
yeah,
sometimes it'd be like, yeah, well, actually, I did make a bit of a mistake there. Or this did happen. And that, and And I think that acknowledgement that like you're not perfect and you're fallible and you make mistakes and you're learning because you're human is, you know, that really improves your relationships with everybody. That word, sorry, but also that it's not even the word, it's an actual genuine feeling when you do make mistakes to say someone, I'm really sorry, I made a mistake there, I got that wrong. You know, that is one of the most powerful things you can do in relationships with others, but with yourself as well. Forgiveness, like, I'm really sorry, I did muck up, I made a mistake, I'm not perfect. And when you have those conversations with yourself, it does change things.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the word sorry is, you know, a funny one, because I think we can use the word sorry very flippantly quite a
Yeah.
lot in life, don't we? But when
Yeah.
it comes to the real juicy stuff and the meaty stuff and apologizing to ourselves and that self-compassion and self-forgiveness, then we really struggle with it. But it's easy to just go, sorry, sorry, sorry. So for all the things that we don't really
Yeah, to like that person that you like, you might have bumped into in Tesco, say sorry to them. But we won't say sorry to ourselves for, you know, perpetuating this, like this feeling of shame that we've got for something that we did 10 years ago. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, fallible is another word that you used a lot, and I use it a lot, is, you know, because we forget, you know, we're perfect as we are, you know, we're perfect as we are, just, you know, but that doesn't mean, you know, it means that we're fallible. It means that we get it wrong. It means that we make mistakes and we make errors. There is no human on this planet that doesn't do that. And just allowing ourselves to be perfect in that we're a fallible human being and that we're going to get it wrong. And you know, like I think sometimes we can hold ourselves to sort of quite, like, I've done it a lot lately with myself, like in terms of how I've, you know, been feeling about my health and giving myself quite a hard time for feeling how I'm feeling, because everyone sees me as energetic, happy-go-lucky Sam and everything's all right in the world. And so I've been having a little bit of psychological struggle around my health and feeling a bit down in the dumps. But then I was finding that I was chastising myself for being down in the dumps. So I'm not getting it from double. I'm getting it double whammy. And I'm like, fucking hell, forgive yourself, girl. It's like
you've got good, and this is the thing as well. You've got a good reason to be feeling that, like you're going through challenging times. And I think this is important as well, that sometimes we can see all of this, like, yeah, I love positive psychology. Yeah. I love all of this stuff. However, it is normal to feel these emotions, and actually we need to feel them and process them and recognize them, you know, because otherwise we just hold on to them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, you know, I discovered breath work last year, and I used it to release a lot of sort of emotional stuff that was going on for me, and I loved it so much that I then trained to be a breathwork teacher. And I've really learned so much about the body and, you know, suppressing and repressing emotions and how they get stuck in your body and can manifest in other ways. And I've just found it's been transformative really for me in terms of being able to release you know, stuck emotions and some of this stuff that we berate ourselves with, and, you know, we push away and instead of dealing with it and allowing ourselves to go through it and be a little bit unhappy and be a little bit, you know, meh today, and it's okay to feel what you're feeling. And that's really, really something that's actually really helped me in terms of my relationship with myself. Breathwork's been, like I say, transformative. It's really helped me sort of delve into my intuition a lot more, which I think, you know, it massively helps your relationship because you're listening to yourself.
Yeah.
Which is
rather than listen to everybody else.
Exactly. But we do that so easily, don't we? We're like, we'll get everyone's opinion. Yeah. And finally go, well, what do you actually think? You know, actually let me sit with myself for a bit and see what actually I want and what's
I know. But I saw somebody on LinkedIn actually, and they had like all of the books that they read, and they had this pile, and they had all of their journals, and then they're like, who do you think I listen to? And obviously we always listen to the books, but it's so powerful. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What stops us from listening to our wisdom? And it's part of that. Well, maybe we're not enough. Maybe we need to know more. Maybe somebody else has got the answer. And this is why so many things sell in the online coaching space and in the diet and exercise space as well. Because we're as humans, I don't know what it is. We're looking for that quick fix, aren't we? So we're like, oh, well, maybe, like, I think I know what to do. I've got to like, I want to run a marathon, for example. So I've got to train for like 6 months, and like I can look at a training plan, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, oh, but maybe we could just do this thing over here. It says I can do it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's do that one instead.
Yeah.
Like, and it's crazy how our brain works like that, because it's like the logical is completely overridden, and we do that all the time.
And we live in such a world where everyone's looking for the shortcut, the fastest route. Do you know what I mean? Bigger, better, quicker. We all want it done quick. The fastest route. So, something I say is you are the best solution for you.
Yes.
I say it a lot to clients, and they come to me, and I'm not giving them any answers really. They're finding all the answers for themselves, and I always say that you are learning to be the best solution for you. And we often are, but like you say, we often just don't prioritize our own narrative, our own intuition. We often don't listen to our own intuition. We have to learn to do that. And so we are the best answer for ourselves. Conscious of time, but I guess if you had to, around this whole this personal relationship we have with ourselves, if there was one question I was going to ask you about that, what would you like it to be? What would you have liked it to be?
How can you nurture yourself as much as you nurture others? I think that's a question that I ask myself a lot. Because I'm a mom, like I've got 2 little kids. My kids are 6 and 8, and those kids, like, I would do anything for them. Like, I nurture them, I make sure they have their vitamins, like, all of that stuff. But it's a great question to ask yourself, because what do I actually need? Actually, I need an early night. Like, this doesn't need to be crazy stuff. Like, I need an early night, I need a massage. I booked a massage. Like, I've got ADHD. I booked a massage yesterday, but I hadn't actually properly booked it on the app.
Yeah.
But I arrived and there was no one there, and I was like,
oh no.
But then I'm like, okay, I was outside. I went for a walk. I did my steps. It's the universe saying, just book massages where they come to your home, because that's easier. But yeah, I think that's it. How do you nurture yourself as if you'd nurture somebody you really loved? Because we nurture other people, whether that be friendships, relationships, children, parents, but we don't often do that to ourselves.
No, it's so true. It's so true. And consequently, when we do that and we allow that, then obviously we are as good as we can be, and that reflects in our relationships. We're modeling again, and that reflects in the relationships and stuff around it. I love that. I'm so glad I asked you that question. There is about
I thought of that answer.
like 3 or 4 really great nuggets in this. I knew there would be, and there is. So thank you so much for that. I always like to end the podcast on just asking a couple of really quick fire questions that are personal. They're about you. They're not difficult. So first one, favorite movie of all time?
Oh my God, True Romance.
I don't even know that. What is it?
Oh, it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. Okay. It has got Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette. And it is, I love it. I love it. I haven't seen it for ages. And I was reminded, I think it's like maybe the 30-year anniversary. This is old. It's like before Pulp Fiction. So I'm going to watch it this weekend.
I'll have to have a look at that. True Romance. Okay. One book you think everyone should read?
Oh my gosh. Do you know Adam Grant, Think Again? Because that book challenged me to actually be okay with changing my mind about things. And I think we can get so stuck in sunk cost fallacy and thinking that we always have to do things a certain way. But Adam Grant, Think Again, he's got a really cool podcast as well with really unusual people.
I'll check that out. I will. Thank you for that. If you only could listen to one song for the rest of your life and no other music, what would it be? What song would it be?
Oh my God. So this is a really difficult one, because my gut goes my wedding song, which was Michael Jackson, Rock With Me, which I absolutely love. And then my head goes, you can't say Michael Jackson because of all the allegations. Yeah. So I'm going to ignore my head and say those were allegations. Michael Jackson, Rock With Me. As soon as I hear that, we're like back to our wedding day. If my second one would be Leo and Bushwhacker Love Story. So that was
I don't know that one.
So yeah. So if I'm not feeling MJ'd, it'll be Leo and Bushwhacker. But I do love Rock With You. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
I'm
love
not
that.
very good at one thing.
I love that. That's really, really cool. Ruth, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you on the podcast. Very insightful. I know those that are listening would have definitely taken away 3 or 4 really golden nuggets from our conversation today. So I really appreciate you giving up your time. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.